In this video, I want to show you how we can write C# code for Unity. First, I'm going to go inside the assets folder and create another folder, and I'm going to rename it to scripts. From now on, I will keep all the C# codes that I write within this folder. I can create a C# code by right-click and selecting C# script. Okay, when I do that, Unity chooses the new behavior script as the default name for the file, and the CS obviously stands for C#. If I create another C# code, Unity differentiates the name by adding a number at the end of the names. This one is new behavior script, this one is new behavior script 1. And that is because you cannot have two scripts with the same name in Unity. This is important. Now let me delete this second script and open the first one. When I do that, Unity opens the file in VS Code for me. That's my favorite IDE, VS Code. And this is not the default IDE of Unity. By default, Unity opens your code in Visual Studio, but since I prefer VS Code, I download and install this platform and I connect it to Unity. Now the process of downloading and installing VS Code is kind of unrelated to this video series, so I won't be talking about that, but I can show you how you can connect VS Code to Unity. You have to go to the Edit, Preferences, External Tools, and here make sure that the external script editor is Visual Studio Code. If it's not, just browse and give path to the main file of VS Code. Anyways, let's talk about the content of this script I just created. There's a template, and the template starts with mentioning the name of 3 different namespaces. Each one of these guys is actually a namespace. And what is a namespace? It's actually a library of scripts that other people have written before, and you can use them as building blocks of your own script. You don't have to invent the wheel from scratch, but if you want to use those scripts, you have to be sure that the library that contains them is introduced here. Otherwise, Unity won't be able to recognize where that code comes from, because Unity expects you to either define the code, define the functions that you mention their names here, or define the library, mention the library that contains those functions. Okay, this whole script is actually recognizable, understandable to Unity just because this namespace is mentioned here. If I delete this line, I will actually get an error. Let's do that. You can either delete the line or you can comment the line by 2 slashes, which is basically deleting the line, because Unity won't, C# or any other programming language won't run the lines that are commented actually. Now I have made some changes in the script, and Unity cannot be aware of those changes if you don't save the changes. So you hit Control S, and then you can expect Unity to understand what has changed right now. This will get you a couple of times. You developed a lot of things and then you realize that Unity doesn't show the changes. It doesn't show any changes, and then you realize, oh, I didn't save the file, save the changes. Anyways, I just commented this namespace that has been introduced here, and when I go to Unity, I am not able to run the project. How do you run the project? You hit the play button here. When you do that, it tells you that all compiler errors have to be fixed before you can enter play mode. Basically, it means that there is an error in at least one of the scripts that exist inside your project. And to get more information, you can go to the console and it tells you that that script exists here inside the assets and scripts folder. Name of the script is this one, and on the fifth line of it there is an error. The error is this. That error comes from commenting this line. So by now you just learned how to comment a line and how to run a Unity project, and you learned about the importance of these namespaces. This one, the Unity Engine one, is the most important one. The others might become important. It depends on what you write in your script. Right now, if I comment these two lines, I won't be getting any error because I haven't used any scripts that is inside these namespaces. But as you develop, you might want to have these namespaces on top of your code. You might want to have other namespaces. It depends on what you want to write. Anyway, let's talk about the rest of the code. Here, a class has been defined, and that is because we do object programming in Unity. We define classes of objects and the methods that can be applied to the objects of those classes. If you didn't understand what I just said, it's okay. If you follow this video series, you will learn about the object-oriented programming very smoothly. If you're a Pythonist, you must probably know what object-oriented programming and what classes are. Anyway, the name of the script is new behavior script, and obviously you cannot go along with this name all the time. If you want to change the name of the script or the name of any variable that you will define in future, I strongly recommend you to follow a very popular convention, and that is to separate the meaningful words of the name by capitalizing the first letter of each word. Let's say the name you want to choose for this script is my first script. This name has three words, my first and script. And if you want to write it down, capitalize the first alphabet of each meaningful word like this. My first script. Save the changes. Go back to Unity. See that you don't get an error right now, and that doesn't mean that your project will run smoothly. You will definitely hit to an error if there is another script or game object depending on the contents of this code. Why? That is because the name of this class you have does not match with the name of the file you have. Unity goes to this folder. Unity looks inside this assets folder and tries to find the my first script class, but it cannot find it. There's only one script here, and its name is new behavior. So it won't be able to find this script. It won't be able to perform the contents of this script, and because of that it will throw you an error, and the error might be very unrelated to this script, and you might be scratching your head for a couple of hours until you realize that these two names didn't match. So make sure that you don't make this mistake. Anyways, I can go here and change the name to my first script and open it again. We don't need this previous one. The new one with the new name exists here. So let's close it. Everything is fine by now, and we can talk about these two voids inside the class. Now, what is a void? Well, a void is actually a function that does not return anything. This is a very tangible, understandable definition for a void. By default, Unity recognizes many voids, and the start and update are only two of them. These are two of the most important voids that exist in most C# codes that you write for Unity. What do they do? Well, to understand what they do, you have to understand what Unity Game Engine does. Unity is a tool for developing video games, and a video game is essentially a video that you control its content. A video itself is a sequence of pictures. You watch a lot of pictures uh, passing from your field of view very quickly, and then you feel like you're watching a video, but in fact you are watching a sequence of pictures, and we call each picture a frame. In order for Unity to show something to the video gamer, it does a lot of calculation, comes up with the content of the first frame, it shows to the video gamer, and then based on the gamer's input and whatever logic you have for your game, it does a lot of other calculations and comes up with the content of the next frame and the next frame and the next frame. That is how Unity works. Now, whatever that should be done to come up with the content of the first frame should be implemented here. That is why it says that start is called before the first frame update. To start the game, Unity goes to the start void of not only this script but all the C# codes that you have. It does the calculation and comes up with the first frame, and it shows the video gamer that frame. Then it goes to through the updates void of not only again this script but all these scripts, does calculations, come up with the content of the next frame, and shows the video gamer the content of that frame, and etc. etc. You can use the start void for loading, initializing variable, etc. And then the logic of your game can be implemented inside the updates. Okay, one more thing, the mono behavior is one of the types of the classes that you can write in Unity. There are other types, and this video series is not about them. If you are interested about the other types of classes in Unity, just uh, watch other contents. This video series is not for you. Well, let me actually show you how start and update work. Let's ask Unity to print out hello world in the console. Console is where Unity talks to you, right? It shows you if there's an error, and it can print out something that you wanted to print out. These are not the things that the video gamer sees, obviously. And I want Unity to print out, let's say, hello world. End your lines with semicolon. If you're new to C#, this will get you a lot of times, of course. You made a change, you save the change, you go back by Alt and Tab if you want to be quick. We run the project and nothing is going to happen in the console. Why? Because Unity doesn't know which game object's behavior depends on this script. You see, the script must do something. The script must define the behavior of one or many game objects. It has to be related to a game object, and there are two ways you can do that. You can either manually find that game object here and manipulate its behavior, or you can hang the code to that game object. Right now in my scene I have two game objects. Let's say I want to define the behavior of the main camera. I can drag and drop the code on main camera, or I can hang this script onto this game object, and then I can see that I have added to the components of this game object. These are the components of the game object that you can see them in the inspector window. I just added another one. Each component is actually a C# code, by the way. And these components define how this game object must behave. We added another component to define parts of the behavior of this game object, which is the main camera. Now Unity knows that this script is related to this game object, and when I hit play, what do I get? I get hello world. And this is very embarrassing that I have a typo here. Anyways, Don't tell anybody. Anyways, let's see what happens if I put the hello world, hello world inside the update void. Like I said, uh, each time after the first frame, Unity goes through the update void and see what it has to do. That means in each frame you will get a hello world. Save the changes, run the project, and you get a lot of hello worlds without any typo, by the way. If you clear, you can see it is constantly printing out hello world. How frequently it is doing that? Well, if you go to the stats, you can read the frame rate of your game object. Right now it's insanely high because the project is empty and it's super easy for Unity to run the project, to run an empty project. It's 300 frames per second, but if you're lucky and if you're a good developer, you can maintain the frame rate of your game object around 30 if you are a good developer, by the way. Anyways, this was all about creating a C-sharp code and some basic explanation about uh, a C-sharp code in Unity. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how we can define different variables. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.